Young boy heroically saved little girl who was buried alive in sand, performed CPR till help arrived. Connor Fitz-Gerald was only 11 years old when a day at the beach took a tragic turn after a sand cave collapsed over a 5-year-old girl. He quickly dug her out and performed CPR. Alyssa Bostick was playing at the Marina Dunes beach when a small sand cave she crawled into collapsed around her, burying her alive, reports the Hardy Soul. She was only 5 years old at the time. The incident, which took place a few years ago, could have ended tragically if it were not for the timely intervention of a then 11-year-old boy named Connor Fitz-Gerald. He was with her along with a few other children when it happened. They were all enjoying their day out and made a game out of trying to dig out caves in the sand. One of the caves they had managed to make was big enough for the little girl to crawl into, and so she did. When the day began, the last thing they expected was for their laughter to turn into panic. In the flash of a moment, Alyssa disappeared beneath a pile of sand as the children watched in horror. The volume of sand that covered her was so high that the child could not breathe for several minutes, causing her to black out. Fortunately for Alyssa, Connor's reflexes kicked in, and he quickly began to claw at the sand in a frantic attempt to dig her out. Connor got to her just in time and promptly began to give her CPR. That move probably helped save her life, as they were at least a quarter mile away from any adult. Connor stayed focused on trying to revive Alyssa while some of the other kids ran to fetch help. It was a day Connor could never forget. One can only imagine what thoughts were running through his mind. Connor is definitely a special young boy. At his age, there are but a few who are capable of taking charge of a situation as serious as the one he found himself in. His father could not be more proud of his heroic son. On the day of the incident, he rushed to his son's aid while Alyssa's father dialed 911. Paramedics hurried to the site, getting there in minutes. After examining Alyssa and ensuring she was out of harm's way, they confirmed that Connor's timely intervention had helped save Alyssa. After returning to the place where the horrifying series of events unfolded, Connor recounted, "She was buried right there. I saw her bag and I started digging up here cause that's where her head is. She was kinda like laying right here. The girls came running up, so I picked her up, dragged her a little bit off the hill, like over there, and I started doing CPR." He remembers the day's events with chilling clarity and described how Alyssa's eyes and mouth had sand in them. He remembers her body being limp when he picked her up and carried her away from the site where the cave collapsed. He realized that he had to resuscitate her and that waiting for her to wake up was not an option. He recalled watching how CPR needs to be performed on NCIS, a popular television series. He went through the motions, desperately hoping his efforts would not be in vain. It goes to show how important it is for adults and children to learn how to correctly perform basic first aid. Many believe that young children will not be able to learn life-saving first aid techniques. Even though their physical strength may introduce an element of limitation, children as young as 9 years old can be taught CPR. In situations like Alyssa's, when no adults are present, it is important that first aid can be administered regardless. When children are at play, accidents can unexpectedly happen, and it is prudent to equip them with the necessary tools to manage the situation until help arrives. Time is a very precious commodity when someone's life is on the line. The first few minutes are often the most crucial. Had Connor hesitated instead of springing into action, the outcome would have been very different. Although we can't say for sure that his CPR technique was flawless, he knew that it was something that had to be done. If we make a conscious effort to educate our children in this very crucial area, we would get to celebrate more young heroes like Connor and help avert more tragedies. Thank you for watching this fantastic story. Please tap one of the 2 videos on your screen for another amazing Wonder Stories.